Warning! This is not an educational video, this is purely for entertainment, watching me fix my 68 Volkswagen Bus. Right, I've got no other intro than what's up YouTube. It's been 6 months, give or take a few weeks or days or months or whatever. 6 months since I last uploaded a video. That's mainly because I couldn't be bothered. I don't know, but for some reason YouTube has got a firm grasp on me because I watch a lot of YouTube, a lot of car related YouTube content, and it's different than the stuff I usually work on, like air-cooled stuff. It's mainly burnouts, drag racing, turbos, V8s, 4 cylinders, whatever. It's mainly that, and I'm not sure why. I think it's mainly the violence of it all, the burnouts, the drag racing, the intense power and torque of it all, and then when I get back into my own shed, I've got this right here waiting for me, which is not at all violent or aggressive or fast even. It's actually never fast, and that's why I'm rebranding this channel to Never Fast, because everything I own isn't fast, will never be fast, but nobody's cooler because this thing is awesome. Awesome, not really right now. That's because I've got a brake issue. And let me just rewind back a few months. What happened in the past 6 months? Well, actually this thing right here, the 68 VW T2A Baywindow bus, actually got a Dutch license plate. It passed the Dutch road compliance checks. I had to go there 3 times. Three times to get it checked out, because the first time there was a brake issue with a front brake line being ruptured, which made it leak out of the front right drum brake.
Buy a bus, they said. It will be fun, they said.
Then the second time there was also a drum brake issue because the front right drum brake had a wheel cylinder that leaked for some reason all of a sudden. And then the third time it got yay! So in the meantime I've been driving it as well. And I shouldn't have, because there was no fluid in the gearbox. No fluid whatsoever. I'll show you, hold on. This is the thing I drained the gearbox fluid in, and as you can see, I don't know if you can see, this was all that was in there. Oh, and it's leaking now. Oh my god. Okay, so this wasn't even 100 millimeters or milliliters even. So yeah. So it was quite stupid to drive all the kilometers I did with nearly no gearbox fluid at all. I changed that situation. I put in almost 4 liters of transmission oil, which it needed, and then I thought, let's try giving the brakes another go by bleeding them. And I did. I'll show you just in a minute, because I'm gonna do the whole process again. I did bleed them with one of those fancy but cheap self-bleed systems with a compressor. You need a compressor or whatever. And I tried to bleed them, and it went okay. The rear right brakes were okay. The rear left brakes were okay. The front right brake was okay, but the front left brake still getting air into it. And I don't know why. I already changed the wheel cylinder because I saw it was leaking as well. Cheap Chinese wheel cylinders or brake cylinders, I hate them. So I ordered a new one. Already changed out the right one a few weeks ago. There's still a leak somewhere, and today we're gonna find out where that leak is. So I hope you enjoyed the last video and the videos before that, and if you did, please consider to subscribe, because that's cool. And yeah, let's see if we can get the brakes of this 68 T2A Baywindow bus bled, and let's see what the problem is. So let's get to it. Right, so we're gonna bleed brakes, and usually that's a two-man job.
Two men with a gut full of fear.
But since I'm alone today, I'm gonna use this thing right here. It's a self-bleeding device which sucks air out of your brake lines. And this bottle right here connects to a compressor which helps you to suck all the fluid out of your lines.
Right, before we get down to the physical act of actually bleeding the brakes, I would like to show you this completely useless, because there's a million and one videos on YouTube explaining this sequence, but I'm going to show you this graphic anyway, where I draw out the brake lines in, well, in this case a VW bus, but this sort of applies for every car there is out there. Right, as you can see, when I move my cursor right here, I draw a rudimental what a rudimental is a drum and bass band, I think. Now, rudimentary picture of a car with 1, 2, 3, 4 wheels, a steering wheel, a clutch pedal, a brake pedal, and a throttle pedal, gas pedal, or whatever you want to call it.
Right here, the gas pedal sort of works the master brake cylinder, and the master brake cylinder, which is over here, has a line going through the left front wheel, and it has a line, of course, going to the front right wheel over here, something like this. And then in case of a VW bus, there's a line from the master brake cylinder that also goes like this, and it goes all the way to the back of the bus, like so. I think there's a T section over here, and then it splits off into here to the middle of the wheel, like so. And this one goes to the rear. Come on, I hate crooked lines. Come on, like so. Right. Okay. It has one crooked line. Oh, for crying out loud!
What you can see in this setup is that the right rear wheel has the longest path to the master brake cylinder. So this right rear wheel goes all the way here to the T section, and it goes here, and it goes all the way back to the front, and it goes to the master brake cylinder. So this is the line which especially if you install this new, has the most air into it. So you always start at the rear right wheel. Then you move up to the rear left wheel, because that's the second furthest from the master brake cylinder. Then you go to the rear or the front right wheel, and then as last you end up at the front left wheel, because that's the closest to the master brake cylinder. And by that time you probably pushed all of the air out of the system. So that's the only correct way of bleeding brakes. If you don't have a other setup, especially with newer cars with brake boosters and stuff like that, this is the most simple brake system there is on, let's say, a VW T2A bus. That's how it works on my bus. So please consider this as somewhat useless, because, like I said, there's a million and one videos on the internet that probably explains it way better than I just did. But this is a sort of a theoretical sidestep. Let's get back to the physical act of bleeding the brakes.
And that's where the story takes a turn, because I tried to bleed the brakes with the self-bleeding device, but for some reason I can't get it to bleed correctly, because I keep sucking in air as well, and that's why you keep seeing bubbles in the lines. I'll show you, or I'll try to show you an example of that. So since that whole self-bleeding thing didn't work, I had my girlfriend help me out by pushing on the brake pedal a bunch of times so I can bleed the brakes the old-fashioned way, and that worked. So I've got a running driving, braking 68 bus. I'll show you now what the basic materials are you need to do the old-fashioned brake bleeding stuff. You'll need this. That's the only thing you need, and a 11mm wrench or key tool, whatever, and a a 7mm wrench thing. So a bottle with a hole in it and a tube going through it, and a 11mm wrench and a 7mm wrench. That's all you need. So this is the brake bleed nipple. You take this rubbery cap off and it exposes the nipple. We take our bottle with the tube attached to it and we squeeze it right here on previously mentioned nipple. Then you take your, in this case, 11mm wrench and place it on the nipple like so, and then the person in the cab starts pumping the brake pedal. You do that for like 6 times, and then you ask the person in the cab to press all the way down on the pedal, and you open this screw.
And as you can see there, we got brake fluid pouring on out.
When pressing on the brake pedal, make sure that when you depress all the way down, you close your bleed nipple. Otherwise, you might suck in air in the brake lines, and you don't want that. So press on the brake pedal a couple of times. Stomp, 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 stomp. Then press and hold the brake pedal. Open the bleed nipple until the brake pedal falls all the way down to the floor. Then close the brake nipple, and then repeat the whole situation again and again and again until there's no more air coming out of your lines. Stomp, 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 stomp. Got a bit educational there. So in the end, that was the old-fashioned way of bleeding brakes, and the same sort of principle applies when you're using one of these self-bleed systems, which is dripping all over me right now, which is probably a lot easier because you don't need 2 people to bleed brakes. But for some reason I wasn't able to make it work because I kept sucking air into the system for some reason. Oh yeah, and a quick top tip: make sure you adjusted your brake, your drum brake, in case of a drum brake. Your drum brakes, that the shoes inside the brake are adjusted correctly, because if they're not, you can bleed for hours on end and it still won't bleed. So make sure you adjust those drum brakes before you start bleeding brakes. Right, so this was completely useless in the end. I hope you still managed to find this entertaining or somewhat educational, I don't know. If you like this sort of content, I might make some more videos, but I get to drive it now. I get to drive this bus now. So let's see what's shaking and what's wrong with it, or what's even good with it. And follow me into a next episode of Bayday here on Never Fast. Bye.